Hey guys, Jason here with TheChartGuys, taking a look at BYND just for fun. It's been a long time since I looked at this chart, and we're just going to do an analysis from the top down, pretty much how I would do anything that I have never looked at before. And we're just going to start right on the weekly time frame. So on the weekly time frame, we have support around 125.23. I'm just going to call that 125 psychological. The loss of that in 23 cents is not going to be as important to me, and I want to see how we interact with the psychological level. Once we get down to these levels, these nice round numbers often act as good areas for support for us, and I'm not going to be concerned about a 20% spread between a support level and an actual reversal. Often we'll see a loss of a 0.23 level, for example, a quick flush, find support at 125, and then have a nice little bounce opportunity. So that's what I'll watch first and foremost. I'm not sure if we've established that low today. Where did we get? Our low 124.63, so we've broken that psychological level. Now let's see how we broke it and what the response to that break was, because that will be telling as well. Should we continue the downside? We don't have a lot of weekly support on BYND, down to 76.76, and it's a long way to get there, so it's unlikely we're going to do it in the very short term. Our RSI levels are going to be more of a factor as we accelerate if we head in that direction. On the daily time frame, here we can see that we're in a very nice developing daily downtrend, consistently setting these lower lows, lower highs, and that's what it's all about right now. Here's that 125 level of support coming into play. And then today we're going to be paying attention to today's low of day support, 124.63. That's going to be an important short-term level. On the daily time frame, we are dipping into oversold territory, so we have a potential for a bounce situation, and that just adds a little bit of emphasis for an upside move. It's not going to be necessarily a long-term move, but it does open the doors for bulls to take a little bit of a liberty with a quick move, mostly because the bears in this case are going to be exhausted. The increased pressure that they've been applying to the sell side eventually will wear out for a temporary amount of time, allowing bulls to have a little bit of fun, we'll call it. And that's what we get in an oversell bounce situation. So on the daily time frame, what do we have here? 124.63, 120 psychological level for us will be acting as potential support for us again. And then what I'm going to do is just try and draw in a trend line. I'm going to focus on the upside because that's where the bulls want to go, and they're getting rejected from the level to get there. So I'm going to go and grab my lines, and I'm just going to start plugging in and seeing what fits the best here. So I'm going to try and grab the top of my green candlesticks and see what fits, what contains the vast majority of the price action. And by connecting this candle and this candle, I can see that I'm getting most of the price action here. In fact, I get a nice rejection. 1, 2, 3, 4 rejections from that. We are ignoring this candlestick, but we can see that the momentum here was to the downside. So this was a fake break open, and then just gave that position right back, bounced, and stayed underneath that trend line. Here we are respecting this trend line, and back up here, well, that's just coincidence, I think. So the only thing that would have me cautious is the fact that we're not fully respecting this one candlestick from September 26th. Everything else seems to fit, so we'll keep an eye on that there. And then what I'll do is just grab that channel, try to create a parallel channel that captures all of the same information as much as possible. And in the short term, it's pretty much looking like this. Not as confident in this, would not be trading using this, but I'm going to let it sit there and develop and see if it comes into play later on. And if we get a nice reversal right off that level, we'll come back and reassess and see what happens. So on the daily time frame, oversold, bulls nowhere to be found right now, bears accelerating and dropping the price. We don't have a volume climax, which I'd like to see in an area of reversal, and I don't quite have a reversal candlestick. The only thing we have going for the bulls at this time is the fact that our RSI is 29.68, so slightly dipping into oversold. On the 4-hour time frame, here's that quick action, gave a lot of that back, and now we're in a 4-hour downtrend, looking for a reversal. And we start to see a little bit of slowdown here right around that 125 level. Our RSI is oversold at 123. Last time we got down to that level is when we saw our big spike to the upside. So we'll keep our eyes open for a bounce to potentially form at this level. We need to see the volume come in, and we need to see that actually execute with a nice trend change. Right now, we don't have a trend change. It's very much bearish all the way. And on the hourly time frame, what are we looking at? Still in an hourly downtrend. Our low of day will mark the bottom for our current low, which is sitting at 124.63, as we mentioned. Nice big green volume on that candlestick, so that is interesting. Bull volume definitely outweighing bear volume, but bears still in control. Our RSI showing a little tiny bit of bullish divergence, still oversold at 28.65. No trend change in sight. And on the 15-minute time frame, we have the first inklings of a trend change with a high over top of the most recent 15-minute lower high, 126.43. So what I'm looking for here is the fact that we came down, set a lower low, we've broken up over top of that ever so slightly, and now we're consolidating sideways. So this is a prime area for a trend reversal. We need to see the strength. We don't see the strength yet. We see the basic ingredients of a potential trend change, but we need to see some established strength. 5-minute time frame, there we go, right up to that level. We hit it within 3 cents of this high, which tells me that that is still a resistance level to watch. I'm going to move my marker over to that 126.46 level, and I'm going to be watching for some action tomorrow. What I would like to see is the 5-minute bulls continuing to set this trend up. I want to see the 15-minute bulls start to establish higher lows. We need something over 124.63 to establish, and then continue a 15-minute uptrend. That will let our hourly bulls to carve out a little bit of a rounded bottom, and if they can take over top of one of the EMA 12 on the hourly time frame, that's going to set things up nicely for a little bit of a bounce. Now remember, we're oversold on the daily time frame, so what we would expect to see would be a high, a higher low, and then upside continuation on the daily time frame. That would get us the start of our little bit of a bounce, and our first target would probably be our EMA 4 because we haven't tested anything else at that point. That would be what I would be looking for. 5-minute trend change, 15-minute confirmation, and look for a sell target around our EMA 4. If we pass EMA 4, we're going to look for our RSI levels on the 5 and 15 as an exit strategy because we don't have a heck of a lot of resistance elsewhere. Can we find anything on the hourly time frame? Possibly. I would look for an exit right around 130.150. So a lot of speculation, but that is a lot of what technical analysis is. We look for scenarios. We look for what is the most likely thing to happen and what would happen as far as trend changes go if that is to come to pass. Be prepared for all scenarios. Look for setups and what you would need to see for strength to manifest. And if and when it does, you'll be ready for it because you've got a plan in place. That's it. Thank you. Have a good day.